When you look at me, what do you see? Do you see a Girl Scout? An artist? Someone who loves robotics? How about a soccer player? Or, if you know what the average American does, you probably might think of me as a terrorist, a member of ISIS, or maybe even an oppressed woman. Well, let me just tell you, that's prejudice. Prejudice is defined as an unreasonable opinion or feeling, especially the feeling of not liking a particular group, making judgment in advance based on false knowledge. You see, one day, my friend's mom went to the store to JCPenney. Once she got to the cashier, the person screamed and yelled, "Please take whatever you want, just leave me alone." She thought she came to steal her money because she was wearing a scarf. Her husband was dead laughing on the floor. He couldn't speak. My friend's mom got so upset she started crying. Eventually, the cashier realized her mistake. To say the least, that was quite embarrassing. Stereotypes are the idea that everyone within a certain group share the exact same characteristics. You see, for example, you might think that all Muslims must dress the same. Well, that's not true. What is this thing on my head? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's called a hijab. Hijab comes in different forms. Some wear burqa, others wear niqab, some wear turbans, and some even wear hats. It doesn't have to be the way I do it. And by the way, it's called a hijab, not a hajib, like President Obama called it. So, everyone, please repeat after me. Hijab. Hijab. Now, you may be wondering why I would like to cover myself like this. Well, let me tell you a little more about my religion, and then you'll understand. I believe in only one God, and that God created the entire universe to the smallest bacteria. I believe that God sent down prophets. Among them is Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Jesus, Moses, and Solomon, peace be upon them all. With them, God sent holy books. I believe, as a Muslim, in the Psalms, the Torah, the Quran, and, surprise, the Bible too. I believe that God created angels to serve him, and that all the actions I do I will be judged for on the day of judgment. All the good actions that I do, I will be rewarded for, and I ask for God's mercy and forgiveness for those that I do bad. I also believe in qadar, or destiny, that God created us all, and we are all part of his plan. As a Muslim, I pray 5 times a day to have a strong connection with God throughout my day. I also believe that I must give annual tax for the poor called zakat, and that I must at least go one time in my life to perform the Hajj, or pilgrimage. I also believe I must fast during the month of Ramadan, or as we call it in Arabic, Sawm. I abstain from eating or drinking during a special month called Ramadan, from sunrise to sunset. In addition to not eating, I also refrain from performing bad actions. Now, let's go back to understanding why I choose to wear hijab. You see, God says in chapter 24, verse 31, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ. And what this means is, and say to the believing woman, that they should lower their gaze and guard their private parts, that they should not display their beauty or ornaments except for what must ordinarily appear therefore, that they should not display their beauty and draw their khimar over their chest. Now, you may be wondering why we have to cover our neck. Hijab has nothing to do with hair. If that was the case, we could do what Jewish women do and wear a wig. That reminds me of a question I often get asked. Are you bald? Well, just for the record, I'm not bald. I have plenty of hair. Hijab has nothing to do with hair. It's about covering your beauty and showing modesty, not only in the way I dress, but in the way I walk and interact with people. And I may only remove my hijab in front of my immediate family members, such as my father, my brother, and my uncles. And a woman may wear as she likes as long as she covers from the top of her head to her chest. She doesn't have to wear a jilbab. That makes you really hot. And that also reminds me of a question I often get asked. Aren't you hot in that? Well, of course I'm hot. We live in Texas after all. No matter how little you're wearing, you will get hot regardless. Actually, research shows that the darker your clothes are and the thicker they are, the less heat you will feel. So loose and thick clothes will make you less as hot. Now that you know a little more, So you see, my religion is not about killing people and bombing other people in Syria. This is what my religion is actually about. Actually, in the Quran, there's a verse that says that if you kill one human, it's as though you killed all of humanity. I don't know how many good deeds you could do to cover that up. So now that you know a little more about my religion, I'd like to tell you a little more about me. I'm a Muslim girl. My name's Rumaysa. I'm 14 years old. I've been homeschooled since kindergarten, and I greatly enjoy doing calligraphy. As I said before, I was a Girl Scout. I love to do art and do robotics. I also greatly enjoy doing sports such as soccer, volleyball, and competitive swimming. I challenge you, the next time you see a Muslim girl, to greet her and say hi. See beyond her hijab. See her as a person, and clear your mind from all the prejudgments and ideas that last come to mind. Maybe greet her and say salam, meaning peace, and get to know her. Thank you.